Do you smell that? I think it's the return of Championship football. What's up everyone? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. I'm so sorry I've been away from the channel for quite a fair time. I've just been doing work and I promise you now, you will see more of me. Just give it a couple more weeks and I'll definitely be back in the swing of releasing consistent content. Also, you will see me streaming FIFA 22 predictions for the midweek games on Sunday, straight after Derby play against Bournemouth. So you are going to see a little bit more of me in the weekend. If you guys want reminding, this is what the Lexalexus Football Prediction League is looking like at the moment. Johnny Burrow is way up in front right now. I've got to really try and catch up with him. This is what the League One table looks like. Al Junk doing pretty well and he's, I think, very, very close to getting promoted in the main league. And this is what the League 2 table looks like. Only 2 members in that league at the moment. But with any new members, we're going to likely get even more members in that league. If you guys like what you see, please make sure you do give this video a like. It does tremendously help the channel. Please do subscribe if you haven't done. It does really help. Let's try and push to 850 as soon as we can. And please share this video and this channel to as many people as you can. All of that really, really helps. But without any further ado, let's start predicting what I think will happen in this weekend's games. So the first game to predict is Queen's Park Rangers going up against Luton Town. This is tonight's game, so guys, you've got to get your predictions for this game very, very quickly. Now, for this game in particular, I'm really intrigued to see the outcome of this game. I am expecting some goals in this game, QPR being the only team who has scored in every single match so far. Now, if you look at the head-to-head, QPR got a much stronger record than Luton Town. If you look at their positions on the table, QPR in 6th and Luton Town in 11th, but only separated by 2 points. If Luton pick up a win, it's very likely QPR will fall out of the top 6, and Luton could even stay in the top 6 if results go their way. In terms of the injury records, I mean, Luton's not got many. They've only got Luke Berry potentially out. In terms of QPR, they've got Lee Ward, Sandro Gay, Samakan, and Julie Davich confirmed out. Lyndon Dyson is going to need a late fitness test, obviously playing in Scotland quite recently. Elias Chair, same for Morocco, he's going to need some very late fitness tests. I think it's going to be very difficult, especially for QPR with their players getting back from international duty. But I do think they may have enough. So the website's predicting 1-1. I'm actually going to edge QPR. I'm going to say a 2-1 victory to QPR. Now, no FIFA's footage this time. You're going to see FIFA's footage right at the end of my predictions. So stay tuned to see what FIFA's predicting. Next up is Sheffield United going up against Coventry. I mean, you could argue that maybe these two teams have kind of swapped positions for what we've expected of them at the start of the season, with Sheffield United in the lowly mid-table and Coventry in a top 6 place. You would argue that both these sides were vice versa in terms of what we thought their seasons were going to be at this stage. But Sheffield United, for me, I'm really disappointed. They have been my most disappointing team so far in this season. Their signings have just not really been able to hit the ground running in the same level that I thought they were going to at the start of the season, and their big money players are just not performing. With Coventry, they've completely ripped up the formula and have actually really attacked this season. Going forward, they look attacking, and you could argue maybe the best former Manchester United player as a manager in Mark Robins as well. Now, in terms of the table, of course, Coventry, as said, 4th place, 30 points so far. A near perfect home record, but that was halted by Swansea, of course. Sheffield United, look at their form, only 2 wins and 6. Very, very inconsistent runs of form there. I mean, both teams have got players out, but look at that long injury list from Sheffield United. Sander Berge and, of course, Robin Olsen, 2 very key players. And it's got Norwood getting a red card, you know, will be suspended. Luke Freeman as well. But Ian Matson and Jarl Salter may be a bit low, and Wycombe, we don't know if he's going to play. So the West was predicting 1-1. God, this is tough. I was thinking a Coventry away win at first, but I'm actually going to switch it up, and I'm going to say a 2-2 draw. I think we're actually going to get some goals in this game. Next up, we've got Bristol City going up against Blackburn. So if you look at the head-to-head record, Bristol City do have a stronger record against Blackburn. But look at this form here from Bristol City. 5 defeats in 6. And their 1 win actually came in their first home win in over 23 attempts, which is quite astounding. But it was a shame that Bristol City couldn't really kick on from there. So I think there is a little bit of pressure going round in terms of Nigel Pearson at the moment with Bristol City. Blackburn in 7th place right now. they could get in the top 6 if results go their way and if they pick up a win against this Bristol City side, who of course, as I said, not really good in form at the moment. Bristol City conceding at least 2 goals in their last 6 of their 7 matches, so we may expect some goals here. And in terms of the previous squads, both teams have got injured players. Of course, Van Heck still picking up that suspension he picked up against Fulham. Matty James is a bit of a blow, and same with Van de Keen and Semenyo. I think they have some really key players, and even at the back line, Baker is quite a big blow for Bristol City to lose as well. They're predicting 2-0 Blackburn, and I think I might agree. I think that's exactly the scoreline I was thinking. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 away victory to Blackburn. Let me know what you think. Next up, we've got Fulham going up against Barnsley. You could argue it's 2 entirely polar opposite teams in terms of a table. It's second from top going up against second from bottom. Now, there have been developments in both of these teams, so obviously Fulham have really picked up their form at this stage of the season. They picked up 6 wins in a row before the international break was put in place. And Barnsley have obviously gone through big intentions to try and save their season. Of course, they did sack their manager shop near the end of the international break. They did have an assistant in charge in their last 2 games, and following a poor defeat against Hull City, I think it was justified they needed someone else in. And they've gone for a manager called Poya Asbaghi. Now, I think everyone, including me, just went, who? When they saw this manager. I mean, we had the same reaction when Valerian Ismail came in. I looked at what he did for Barnsley. But I looked into him, and he was the Sweden under-21s manager. And I looked into their Euro qualifying group at the moment. And Sweden, despite losing their first game because of Asbaghi not being present in the team, they actually are still top of their group, which contains Italy. And he's worked with players like Elanga from Manchester United, a really good young player. So I think with Barnsley having one of the youngest squads in the league, I think it's a really good decision actually. It could be quite risky, but I do understand why they've approached him. Now, to predict this game though, I just don't think he could have had a harsher game to start off his career at Barnsley. So to predict this game, I'm going to go with 3-0 Fulham. I could be wrong though. Next up is Huddersfield going up against West Brom. Now, West Brom would want to forget Huddersfield as soon as they'd like. In their last meeting against them, Huddersfield ultimately denied West Brom the title and of course confirmed Leeds' promotion to the Premier League. It didn't affect West Brom's chances going into the Premier League, but this game definitely haunted them. In terms of predicting this game, Huddersfield for me at home have done pretty well at the moment. So if you look at the form, bit inconsistent from both teams, you would say, and obviously there's a 7-point gap. In terms of Huddersfield, they've just been a bit up and down a bit. I felt like they've done really well. They've actually kept a load of clean sheets recently. They've just not been able to really put the ball back in the net, and that has been their problem for me. So it's difficult to predict this game. I think being at home, Huddersfield may have a chance, and they have been unbeaten for quite some time at home. I'll go for a 1-1 draw. I'm actually going to back Huddersfield to get something here because West Brom have lost their last 3 away games. They're not doing well away from home. So I'll neutralise the ones that forms and do a 1-1 draw. Let me know what you think. Next, we've got Hull going up against Birmingham. Now, Hull definitely didn't want the international break to come when it did because they had their best performance and win of the season for me when they beat Barnsley by 2-0. It was definitely, I felt, the most complete performance. They dominated and actually had more chances, and away from home as well. It was very encouraging too. Birmingham, I don't think really wanted the international break either because, as you can see here, they did have great form until they did have a bit of a shock defeat against Reading. Jamari Clark for Reading really bursting onto the scene and actually really digging Reading out of one a little bit there. But Birmingham find themselves 15th, which I would say maybe is a bit of an average, if anything, probably a bit above what they have done in previous seasons. At least they're not in a relegation battle of sorts, which they tend to find themselves in. So if we look at the squads, because I want to see in terms of the injury records, look at that. Both teams have got really key players out. So Huddleston is out. I can already see Louis Coyle, who I really like at right back, is out as well for Hull. They're going to have to use Emmanuel, which I have seen him a couple of times. In terms of Birmingham, I mean, Tahith Chong's a big one for me. Him out of the squad is a really big loss. They're going to have to rely on McGree playing in this role a bit, although McGree has done all right with that. Dion Sanderson's a bit of a role actually. He stepped in a couple of times. Pedersen and Kolan too, experienced defenders out as well. I'm actually going for a bit of a shock maybe on paper. Hull, as you can see here, have got a very strong record. So I'm going to go for a Hull win. I'm going to go 2-1 Hull. I actually think they'll have back-to-back wins. and we'll see what FIFA predicts right at the end of his video. Next up, we got Middlesbrough going up against Millwall. Now, this is interesting with this game because it is Middlesbrough's first game playing with Chris Wilder as their new manager, and I'm really intrigued to see what sort of changes he'll put to that squad. Is he going to do 3-5-2 like he put with Sheffield United and how well they formed under it? It's a possibility. It just means that they're going to have to tweak their system a little bit, especially with their wing backs. Now, in terms of Millwall at that stage looked like that they were actually picking up quite a fair few consistent wins, although they did draw, and it was the dreaded 1-1 draw curse returning to them again. I said it in my review video 2 weeks ago that the 1-1 draws are back. Now, in terms of Middlesbrough, they had a 1-1 draw as well, but this time with West Brom, and actually a really good result for them. I think a little bit harsh that Neil Warnock had to go in that way, because it's a really good result to get a point against a West Brom team up there in the top 3 of the table. Ipiezu's out, which I think is a bit of a blow, but apart from that, I think all their players can definitely step up. I'm really interested to see how Payera gets in this role as well. In terms of Mill, they don't really have many players out. I would say Ballard being injured is a bit of a blow, but apart from that, they pretty much got everyone. Now, they're predicting 1-1, and you know what, I might agree actually. I think it's going to take Middlesbrough a bit of time to formulate under Chris Wilder's system, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this game. Next up is Preston going up against Cardiff City. Now, another managerial change has gone into the hands of Cardiff this time, but their assistant manager, Steve Morrison, is staying on to the end of the season. I can't help but feel that is a very risky move for me. I know he's had some good results, including their recent win over Huddersfield, a 2-1 victory, Kiefer Moore scoring 2 goals in that game, but they found themselves in 20th position. They needed a real inspirational championship manager. Maybe it's Vincent Tan trying to save money, trying to pay a manager out of a job. Maybe he didn't like the people that were going out for free, so he'd rather stick with the assistant manager and save up on a lot of money, potentially millions actually, that he would have to pay to get a manager in. Preston find themselves 16th place and not far ahead in terms of Cardiff, especially if Cardiff win, they can definitely close the gap to 3 points, which would definitely put danger signs to Preston. But at home, Preston have been recovering their form a little bit. If I put their home form out, look at this. They've gone through an unbeaten streak at home, and especially 2 wins in a row. Away from home, Cardiff have also lost 5 out of their last 6 away games. So if we're basing it on the form books, I know Cardiff have got the stronger record head to head. I might back Preston here actually, and I've not backed Preston that much this time, but I think I need to. I'm going to go for a 2-1 home victory to Preston. Next up is Reading going up against Nottingham Forest. Now, obviously, during the international break, we had a lot of news, we had a lot of managerial changes, but we also had a lot of developments off the pitch, and Reading was one of those teams. I mean, 2 bits of news I want to talk about. They got Andy Carroll in as a striker. I think they are justified to getting a striker in, because if I show you the preview and their injury list, it is absolutely ridiculous the amount of players they've got out here. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's at least 11 players out. A whole squad out pretty much as well. So I think Andy Carroll in, is justified. Whether he'll hit the ground running will be interesting. It'll be a nostalgic signing, because I definitely remember him when he was back at Newcastle in the Championship as well. Now, they also got a 6-point deduction after admitting to breaking profit and sustainability rules. So they're going to get a 6-point deduction applied with immediate effect, which plunges Reading down into 19th place. But they'll also have a 6 further points deducted in the following season, 22-23. So that for me shows that Reading were clear, that they did know that they actually did have a deduction, and they did say a lot of it was due to COVID. I think a lot of teams at this stage are going to use COVID as an excuse for this, but at least they didn't try and trick their way around it and try and fool the EFL about it, I would say. So that's probably why they didn't get as much of a punishment as a Derby, which we will talk about later. In terms of Forest, Forest have really improved their form. Despite not having a very strong record against Reading, they have improved their form, and I really like the squad that they've got under right now. I'm going to go for a Nottingham Forest win here. I'm going to go for a 3-1 Forest win. I just have more faith in this Forest side at the moment. I just think Reading, with the amount of injuries they got, I just don't think they're going to be able to compete with Forest on the rise. So I'm going to go for 3-1 Forest. Next, we've got Stoke going up against Peterborough. Now, one of the damning assessments of Stoke is that they've got Harry Souttar, who is going to be injured for the whole season, which I do think is a big blow for Stoke City. But luckily for them, they do have a lot of options in their back line. As you can see, they've got James Chester there, they've got Ben Wilmot, and they've got Leo Ostergaard still. A very, very strong and compact back three, actually. And look at the injuries they have got as well. They've even got Nick Powell still injured, Sam Klukas. And even if they've got some really excited players out injured, you would arguably say that Stoke's squad is very, very strong. But it's against a Peterborough squad where, away from home, Peterborough have only won one game so far this season, which was against a Hull City side, obviously down in the bottom three. Now, Stoke are a team in the top six and definitely will be wanting to win to try and keep up with the chasing pack near the top. The bit of business that Peterborough have done is that they've extended Darren Ferguson's contract to 3 years. So a 3-year contract has been signed by Darren Ferguson. So it looks like to me that even if they're going to sack Ferguson, you know, they would have a couple of years left in this contract. It could be a bit of backing from the board for Darren Ferguson's getting this chance. But at the moment, I know they're 21st and on the bottom three, but the bottom three have pretty much been teams that have just not really turned up in this season at all. So I think a bit of a strange decision, especially for timing of the contract signing. I do think Stoke will win. I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory to Stoke. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. The last of Saturday's games sees Swansea going up against Blackpool. I think this game is going to be very, very close. I've been impressed by both of these teams at this stage of the season. Swansea at the start of the season were poor. They were really, really poor. But as you can see here, they formed an unbeaten run at home. 4 home wins in a row. Now, Blackpool in general, I've also been very impressed with. Now, both of these teams are very, very close. Only 2 points separates them. If Swansea win, they can overtake Blackpool, of course. Blackpool, I found out very, very recently that at this stage of the season, they've actually only picked up 1 less point than what they actually did in their League One campaign, which is really unbelievable, seeing how well Blackpool have taken to this league. To get 25 points already, I think is a really, really good achievement for a newly promoted side like Blackpool. I definitely think with the clash of styles, I think it's going to be interesting. Swansea will have a lot more of the ball. Blackpool will sit back. I think Swansea might take one of their chances and take them. Based on their strong home form, I'm going to go for a 1-0 victory to Swansea. Let me know what you think in the comments. And the final game to predict is Derby against Bournemouth. It's 24th against first place, bottom versus top. Derby got a strong record head-to-head against Bournemouth and actually beat Bournemouth at Pride Park last year, which was a bit of a shocking result at the time as well. But things are a lot more bleak for Derby at this stage of the season. So obviously Derby received a further 9-point deduction after admitting to breaching profit and sustainability rules. So what's happening here is that Derby have been given another 9-point deduction, which they already had 12 points deducted at the start of the season, which means they've got a total of minus 21 points. But also they've got a further extended suspended penalty of 3 points, which if Derby do not comply with the agreement from the EFL, that will also be applied to this season. The punishment's just never ending for Derby. And you would argue, you know, why are Derby being treated so harshly? Because the accounts that are wrong aren't around the same amount of years than what Reading's are. But the thing is, the accounts for what Derby have done, they've manipulated and they've tried to hide their debts. They tried to hide their debts where they've tried to hire the administrators in to try and attract Derby more as an entity and as a club to buy. So it's manipulation really, and just, you know, not really complying with the accounting rules. I think because it's followed by multiple breaches of profit sustainability and also their accounting system too, that is why they've got the points now, and that's why they've got more. So I won't go into it because it's not supposed to be an accounting video, but that is my opinion in terms of the whole situation, and that's why I kind of understand the different penalty points for them. Bournemouth, of course, are on fire. They've only lost 1 game so far this season, and the rest of the times in their last 5 games they've picked up only wins. Derby, I think, will compete, but I think Bournemouth will have more than enough. I'm going to go for a 2-0 away victory to Bournemouth. So guys, these are my championship predictions. Let me know your predictions in the comments down below. Now, before I predict the Premier League fixtures, we're going to see a very short compilation of what we covered in my last FIFA live stream. You're going to see all the goals and you're going to see all of FIFA's predictions. So without any further ado, let's see what FIFA predicted for this weekend. Hello guys, welcome to FIFA 22 score predictions. As you know, every time I do a live stream, I simulate all of FIFA 22's predictions for the upcoming championship games. If you want to see these games live, make sure you check out my streams on the Monday and the Wednesday. Without any further ado, let's see what FIFA 22 predicts. So there we go, guys. The first game we're predicting is QPR versus Luton Town. Let's see what FIFA 22 has to think about this game. So FIFA 22 is predicting QPR and Luton Town to end in a 0-0 draw, disappointingly. So the next game to predict is Sheffield United going up against Coventry City. Thank you guys for the continued support for the channel. I truly appreciate it. 823 subscribers still. Oh, off the woodwork. That was so close to getting our first goal. Sheffield United still with a chance and it's in. It's the offside. It's not offside. We've got a goal. Pardon if you hear the music in the background, but I think it's John Fleck with the opening goal. Finally, we've got a goal that FIFA has actually recorded. Absolutely crazy. So, according to FIFA 22, this game's going to end Sheffield United 1, Coventry 0. I did kind of allude to my reaction to Chris Wilder in my review video, but I think it's a great appointment. It's a great appointment. I think one thing I've noticed every time I see him at a club, he does something out of the ordinary. Oh, the ball has gone into the net. Bristol City have scored at home. Right, according to the full-time whistle, it ends Bristol City 1, Blackburn 0. Right, the full-time whistle goes at Craven Cottage and FIFA 22 is predicting another 0-0 draw. Also, during my absence, I did an exam, so I had to make sure I worked for that. I'm still waiting for my results to come up from that. Right, that's the full-time whistle. And disappointingly, we get another goalless draw. So, according to FIFA 22, once again, it is a 0-0 draw. Don't think this game will be a goalless, but FIFA does. Yeah, well, FIFA's thinking every game's going to be goalless, and because of that, FIFA's going to get at least one correct score, because there probably will be at least one goalless draw in this weekend. Harry turning into a Bristol City Ultra. Interesting, right? We were just talking about this potentially being another goalless draw. It's not going to be a goalless draw because Scott Hogan has scored for Birmingham. I mean, yeah, I'm doing fine now. Definitely feeling a lot better this week. I was feeling quite burnt out, and as we were saying that, Josh McGuinness has done something that he's failed to do all season, which is score a goal for Hull City and not be offside. He's not offside. It's going to count as a goal. That could be a very crucial home point for Hull City. So according to FIFA 22, this game will end as a 1-1 draw by dramatic circumstances. Once again, it's getting quite predictable now, but it's another 0-0 draw. I do think it's a bit of a risk because I think even when he got good results, you know, especially the Huddersfield one, I think that was a great result for Cardiff even. But I think the reason is that it's down to Vincent Tan not really wanting to spend too much compensation to find a new manager. I think he's looked at managers on a free that are available and he's not liked the plethora of options. And Preston have taken the lead. We were just talking about Cardiff's reasons for not getting a new manager. Well, they've just conceded a goal just now. Alan Brown definitely involved with the goal here. Right, we finally have got a game that didn't end 0-0. So Preston and Cardiff have ended. And according to FIFA 22, Preston will win by 1-0. All I want for Christmas is playoffs. That might be what Nottingham Forest and other teams are going to be wishing for as well. Anyone who wants to get promoted will be wanting that. Any Christmas movies to watch? Oh, there'll be plenty of Christmas movies I'll be watching. What? Is it a goal? It is a goal! I didn't see the ball go into the net. It must have crossed the line. Reading have picked up a last-minute goal. So according to FIFA, they're predicting 1-0 between Reading and Nottingham Forest. Wow. Don't know if you heard him there, but yeah, he actually spoke. Which, to be fair, he actually does very often. Off camera. Never really does it on camera anymore. Well, it looks like I just arrived back and Stoke have just scored a goal. I was just letting my cat out who distracted us when Reading scored their last minute goal against Nottingham Forest, and immediately Stoke score early in this game. And that is the full-time whistle, and they've predicted Stoke to beat Peterborough by 1-0. Both 4 or 5 sources saw them promoted to the 3rd tier. And we see Blackpool have just scored against Swansea. And it looks like it's Jerry Yates who is the goal scorer. They go to the Championship, and with only 8 wins to their name, they get relegated in 24th. But they have
back-to-back relegations. That is poor on their part. Here's a chance for Swansea, and it's a goal. It's the equalising goal in the 82nd minute. Wow. We're seeing some last-minute goals right here, some last-minute turnarounds. Final, of course, the finalist in that year was Torquay United, who, of course, are not having a great season themselves. Here's a chance for Bournemouth, and it's a goal. We have a goal in Pride Park. It is Bournemouth, and then, obviously, this year, they're just outside the top 6 again. But they do have a couple of games in hand. Bournemouth, just before half-time, have taken the lead. We're just reminiscing of Sunderland's time, you know, in the Championship and where they are now. And we just got backtracked a bit. Bournemouth have now made it 2-0 just before half-time. They've been built from the ground by their fans. It's an AFC, so it's an association football club. And it's a chance for Bournemouth once again. And it's 3-0 to Bournemouth, a very comfortable victory for them.
So we're back, guys. Which ones do you agree with more? Let me know in the comments. Now, to end off the video, here are my Premier League predictions. If you guys do want to have a Premier League prediction league, I will make one if we get 1,000 subscribers. That is my promise to you guys. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys enjoyed it, please give the video a like. It just reminds you to help the channel. Let's say for 20 likes in this video. Please do hit that red subscribe button if you've not done so. We are trying to get to 850 subscribers and eventually to 1,000 subscribers as soon as we can. So if we can do that, that would be really appreciative. And please share this video on this channel to as many people as you can. All of that really helps. But now, wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw the end of this video. And as always, I'll see you guys very soon. Take care.